Let's take a look at this particular move then. And if we take a look at the 1-hour, what we were saying was this area right here was your morning star, and therefore we're potentially expecting to go long. But remember, when we usually get a any candlestick formation, for example, or a bullish engulfing candle, a bullish or a bearish engulfing candle, etc., any form of candlestick formation or decision candle, we tend to get a test of that. 70-80% of the time you tend to have a test of that, and you can see that this is potentially the test of this morning star formation. Okay, so just let's go to our 5-minute now. This is your uptrend line. We've broken the daily trend line, so we're in the buy zone. So this is the uptrend line, and this was the break. And if you take a look at this candle here, this was your full body candle below, bearish full body candle below the trend line. Therefore, this was your signal to potentially go short. And it's this move that is the test, or potentially the test of the morning star. So now what I would look to do is I would look to place my trend line. So I would place a trend line here. It's a very steep trend line, bearing in mind, folks. Is I would now look to break this particular trend line with a full-bodied bullish candle above that trend line. I would look to take it long. But bearing in mind now what you have got, if we place our A, B's in here, so we've got our A, you've got your A, and we have our B. Well, in actual fact, that's our B there, and I'll tell you right now, B, we had two here, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, but we didn't have 2 to the left, 2 to the right for a retracement, so that's not really a B. This is your B. So let's now place that Fibonacci on here. We've come down to the 61.8 so far, heading to the 78.6, but we have come down to the 61.8, and therefore a break of this particular trend line and then the open of the next candle would be your potential long trade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on pause, and we'll follow this now as it's going along. So as I say, we're looking for possibly a break now. Once we've got a bullish, full-bodied bullish candle above that trend line, we could potentially look to take a trade. Okay, let's have a look at where we'd be looking here. We'd be looking at a potential stop of about 16, 30 plus pip gain, depending on where we get the open of the next candle, of course. So let's wait and see where we go, but I'm going to keep this particular trade open so that we can watch it as it goes along. Something that we need to note as well in this particular trade, remember, we're not looking for a test of the back of this trend line, because we're not in a crown formation. Okay, we've got this A, B swing with a retracement to the 61.8, and now we're looking for the extension. Okay, so we're not potentially looking for the crown situation. We've already passed that, because if you take a look at this, this was a high point right here. This was a high point right here, and therefore potentially this was a left tip, or this was potentially a left tip. We broke that, broke the trend line, broke the high, and this retracement is the test, or well, this is potentially the right tip looking for the long. So we will enter a trade on this as soon as we've got a close of a bullish candle. So if this closes bullish, we will open long on the open of the next with our stop below this A, and our potential take profit would be mid 127.61.8. Okay, so let's see where we go. I'll just put you on pause again. Okay, then, well, we've closed bullish, full bullish candle above the trend line. This was the open, so I've now taken a long trade. Okay, so I've got a long trade. I've got my stop down here, a couple of pips below, so 80, 81, 70, 80-ish is around about my stop. There we go. Change this to red. So there's my stop. This was the entry that I had, which was the open of the candle, so that was my entry. And my potential take profit would be sort of the mid 27.618. Okay, so let's now watch where we go. So this was our open. This is our stop. And this is our potential take profit. So now we need to see what happens. Remember, I will also look to take some profit off the table as well. This was my entry. This is your stop at 21 pips. Therefore, if we look at 21 pips, which is there 3621, so if I enter that 3621, that effectively, and let's change the colour, I'm going to make that a black line, this will be take profit 1. So this will be take profit 1, TP1 at 2 lots. Now let's watch and see what happens. And remember, this is what I've just discussed this in the 3 lot strategy. If I take 2 lots at this particular level right here, that means I've locked in 21 pips, locked in 42 pips in actual fact, but if it came back to take me out, I would be plus 21 pips. Okay, so just let's see what happens right now. I'll come back to this because I'm going to place it on pause. Okay, then let's come up to date so far with where we are. You can see that all we're doing effectively here, folks, is remember it waves. So this is the wave. We've gone up to this point. So just take that off for a second. We've come up, we've waved down, we've come back up, with higher high, and therefore what do we expect? We expect retrace, and hopefully this is what we're expecting to happen. We're expecting it to wave. Now just remember, higher highs, this is your higher highs, we're forming higher highs. Once you've taken it, make a new high, expect pullback. So we shouldn't get too concerned when we start seeing it pull back, because this is the natural wave of the market, okay? So I'm going to put you back on pause. Okay then, just want to take another look at this trade, because what I always say is that when you're in a trade, what you should always do is you should review what's happening within this trade so that you can manage it correctly. Now what I'm going to show you is, if we just zoom back out again, look at this area here, an enormous amount of resistance in this area, which is our B high. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this 3621 take profit, I'm going to bring it down to the 3618 area, or in actual fact this area, if you can see that, I'm going to bring it down to that area, and that's where I'll take my 2 lots. So I'm going to take my 2 lots at the 3617 mark, okay? So that's just again managing your trade while you're in it, reviewing the trade while you're in it. As you can see at the moment, we're now making our pullback, score a point, pullback, there's your score a point. So we're going to get pullback, but let's see what happens, okay? Well, there we go. We can see that it's actually hit the 3617 and actually bounced right on that level. So you can actually see there, we can actually see that we've actually hit that and bounced. So my 2 lots have now come off the table. So we've taken the 2 lots off the table, and now we're in a situation where we have the last stop. So what have I taken here? We've taken 2 lots off at 17 pips. That's 34 pips, with the potential loss on the last lot of 21. So I've got 34 pips, 21 potential loss. So I've taken 13 pips, locked those in there, guaranteed, folks. Okay, let's see how this progresses. So what could you do now then? Well, we've taken the first 2 lots. As I say now, by leaving your 3rd lot at the original stop, you're giving your trade plenty of breathing space to actually have some retracement before we go back. Another option you can have, and this is an option I'm going to take, I'm going to take my stop and move it to a couple of pips below this retracement level of 35.91. So 35.88 is going to be my stop. There we go. So that's going to be my stop. That's where we're going to move the stop to. So potentially now, from your entry to this, we've now got 11 pips as a stop loss. Remember, I've taken 34 pips, so 23 pips would be my minimum win on this particular trade, and I'm just going to let this run now. Okay.